Okay, so in this video we're going to create our head for our character, but before we start I'm going to go up to File and go to User Preferences, and I want to switch on these two, Rotate Around Selection and Zoom to Mouse Position. They just make it a bit easier to use the program. I'm going to go to the toggle at the top, Input, and I'm going to switch on Emulate Numpad. So I can use the numbers at the top of the keyboard for navigation, for switching between views. So I'm going to close that up. I'm going to put my cursor down onto the main 3D screen again and go Control U and save that as a startup file. Control U and save it. So next time we open it, those settings in User Preferences should be still there. Okay, so I want to load in some images, some sketches to model the character by. I've got a very simple one I'm going to use. I'm going to hit the N key to open the numbers column, that's the N key. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom where it says Background Images. I'm going to toggle that on, click on it, and open it up on the little black triangle. Scroll down and click on Add Image. Scroll down a bit further and click on Open. And my images are on the desktop, so I go to Desktop. I'm going to add in the front image. I'm going to click on the 1 number to navigate to the front. And we're in perspective at the moment, so I'm going to click on 5 as well to give me the orthographic view. And now I can see the image that I've just brought in. So I'm going to make that down here again. I'm going to make that the front image. I'm going to click on this front button now so the image appears on top of the cube. And I'm going to just slide down the opacity to make it a little bit easier to see the image and to model. So it's a very plain image I've got. I don't have eyes or anything, but that should be fine. So I'm going to add another image. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go to the desktop, find the side view, click on that, change the view from all views to side, to right. I'm going to click 3 on my screen, on my keyboard, so I can see the right view. I'm going to click on the front button. So now if I hit 1, I've got my front view. Hit 3, I've got my side view. I'm just going to drop the opacity down a little bit there. So 1 front, 3 side. So I'll go back to 1. I'll go into edit mode. I could have hit the tab key. I'm just going to left click and drag up my cube to the head. Zoom in on the head. I'm going to go W. It's all selected, so I'm going to go W and subdivide smooth, which will give me a rounded shape. I'm going to deselect that and go Z to go into wireframe mode. That's Z to go into wireframe. And I'll also change my selection to face. So now I can see the little black dots, so I've got face selection on. And I'm going to go B for a box selection and just select this half. I don't have to go right to the middle, just past the black dots. Now I've selected that all the way through. If I rotate, you'll see. I'm just going back to 1. That's why I went into wireframe, so I could select it all the way through. I'm going to hit X for delete and delete faces. So now I'm coming over here to the Modifiers tab, which is the spanner. I'm going to pull down this menu here, Add Modifier, and add the mirror modifier, which has come in here. I'm going to switch on clipping, which keeps it joined in the middle, and I'm going to just click this tab, this triangle, which allows us to see both sides. Okay, so now I want to put another modifier on the object, which is the subdivision surface modifier. So I'll click that, and this smooths it, but I've got to just collapse this little triangle here so you can see how it has smoothed the object. I'll go Z to go back to shaded view. I'm just circling around. If I go Tab to go back to object view, I could do it down here as well. I'm just going to hit this smooth button so it smooths it up a bit. So I'm going 1 again, I'm going Tab again to go back into edit view. Okay, so I can see it's much larger than my head, so I'm going to, my sketch of a head, I'm going to go A to select it, and S to scale it down. I can scale it to about there. Then I'm just going to get my grab tool, move tool, and just pull it in a bit like so. I might move it up a little bit. It's a little bit off center, but I don't mind. It's fine. It's only a rough outline. I'll scale it a little bit more. I'm going to go 3, and I can do a bit more here. So I'm going to get my scale tool now, which is down the bottom here, and pull it on the green one here, this green widget handle, and a little bit more. Now I can see the jawline comes out here, quite box-like this drawing. So what I'm going to do is go A, deselect, go Z, so it's wireframe, so I can select it all the way through. And I might select these 2 polys, these 2 faces, get my move tool, and just pull them out a little bit to shape the head down that way. Now, I can't really put too much more detail. I can grab these 2 perhaps and pull them back up because they came down a little bit during that last move. And that's getting the shape of the head a little bit better. Pull that face up. We'll go back to 1 and have a look. Okay, so we can't really put any more detail in. I want to put some eyes and a nose and a mouth in. So I might subdivide the whole face again. So I'm going to go A, select it all, and I'm going to go W again and subdivide smooth. That's the second time I've done that. Now you can see it splits apart, so we've got clipping on here. So I just have to drag it back together so it selects. It's got a little bit pointy on the top and the bottom, so I'm going to fix that up. I'm just going to select there and make sure that I'm getting both sides. I'll come in and select like so. And I'll get my scale tool and just pull down on that blue one to lower it a little bit, and then just drag it down a little bit more as well. And the chin, I don't mind a bit of a point in the chin. We just might select the polys, the faces, and just scale them a bit flatter. And I think that's working pretty good now. Now you can see we have a lot more geometry. So you can see the whole thing's got a little bit bigger this way. So I'm going to select it by going A and just scale the whole head down a small amount. A little bit more. So about there. Now I'm going to go 1 and have a look. So if I go through, I can see I want my eyes in about here. In here. So I probably want 4 polys or 4 faces to make my eyes out of. So I'm going to put a cut through here by going Control R. And after I go Control R, I move my cursor around until I see this pink line. And I'll left click. This goes into a slide mode, but if I hit the right mouse button, it'll just center it. It's got a little bit of a curve in it. I don't mind that. I'll leave that. Now, I will want a nose in here and a mouth down here. So I'll definitely need another cut through here. Let's see, maybe a cut through here and a cut through here. Yeah, we'll do both. So we'll put a cut through here as well. So I'm left and right clicking, and I'll put a cut through here. So Control R again, left and right. Okay, I'm going into face selection mode down the bottom here. Just going to rotate. Again, I don't have eyes or mouth drawn in. I'm just going to do them. I'm going to rotate around. I'm going to select these 4 faces to do my eye. I'm going to switch the clipping off because we want the eyes to be separate, not joined. So I'm going to go E for extrusion. I'm going to, if it moves about like this, don't worry, just right click so it returns. It goes into a slide mode again. I'm going to go S to scale that down. Notice my cursor's up here, so I've got lots of leverage. So I'll scale that down a little bit. I'll go E again and right click again. And I want to scale this again, so I go S, scale it a little bit more, and I'll get my move tool, my move widget, and just move that forward, creating some geometry for an eyelid. Then I'll go E again, extrude again. I'll right click so it doesn't move. I'll go S and scale that down. It's looking a bit square, but we'll sculpt it in a moment. Now I'll just go E and slide back into the head. So I've just gone E and pulled it back inside. And I'll just go X and cut that because we don't really need a big eye socket in there. So let's put the geometry in for my 2 eyes. Now I just want to sculpt that. So I'm going to go 1. I'm going to go into point selection mode down here. And I'm just going to rotate it around a little bit so I can see the points. So I'll come in and select 3 points like so. I'll move that over a little bit. I'll do the same on this side. I'll pull them over a little bit. I want this eye to be fairly large and wide, so I'm not going to do too much more to it. Notice we've got some sort of uneven polygons here, or faces. That's just because they need smoothing. So if I go Tab to go back into object mode, I just come over and smooth it, just so it's easy to see. And I'll go Tab to go back into edit mode again. Okay, so I'm going to create the nose now, which I'll do out of these 4 polygons. So I'll go back into face selection mode, select the 4 polygons, hit the E key for extrude, right click. Now I've made a mistake here because the clipping is not on, so I'll just undo that, switch the clipping on, because I want the nose to be joined together. And I'll go E again, and I'll right click so it doesn't move. Now I want that to be narrower, so I'm just going to drag it in on the red handle there, making sure that I'm in 1, so it's going in fairly evenly. I could drag it in a little bit more at the top to get a nose shape starting to happen there. I'll select the 4 polygons again. I'll go E once more. I'll right click. This time I'm going to go 3, and I'm going to left click just on the bridge of the nose there, and I'll come down here to my pivot points and change it to 3D cursor. That's so I can rotate from this left click 3D cursor that's there. So I'm just going to go R on the keyboard and just rotate that out a little bit. And then I'm going to go E again to extrude once more, right click so it doesn't move, and then go R. And rotate that out a little bit more. Now, I'm getting a little bit of a crease around it and things, but don't worry about that too much. We'll smooth that in a minute. So what I might do is, I might just scale that, oops. I'm just going to change my pivot point back to medium point. I'm just going to scale those top polys down a little bit, so they're a little bit smaller. And I might smooth this top part here now, the bridge. So I'm just going to select a few polys, like so, and come over to the tools on the side here and switch on the smooth vertex. And that's pretty much smoothed it up. So I'm not going to make this nose too realistically. I could make nostrils in here by extruding these out and holes by extruding up. But I won't, because I want this to be just a plainer character. So now I want to make my mouth. So I'm going to select these 8 polygons. I'm really just selecting 4. Remember, we work on the right side because of the mirror. So now I'm going to go E to extrude the first part of the mouth. I'm going to right click so it doesn't move. And I'm going to go S and scale that down a fair bit. Now I'll go E again, and remember if it moves, don't worry, just right click, it'll go back to where it should be. And then I'm going to go S and scale it down a little bit more. Now these are going to be my lip, this outer one is going to be my lips. So I'm going to just move the head to an angle where I can see it a little bit better, and grab the green arrow and move those out to create the lips. Now I'm going to go E again to extrude once more. Let me get around there, that's better. E, and I'll right click again so it doesn't move, and I'll go S again and scale it in. Now I'm going to go, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to go E and move it back inside, and that'll be the inside of the lips. Now I'm going to go E again and move it back, and that'll be the gums inside the mouth. And then I'll go E again, and that's where the teeth, will be. I'm just sliding it after I hit E, after I've extruded it. So now we want to create the, I'll come back and sculpt the lips later. We'll actually close the mouth. But right now I want to create the throat and tongue. So I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to go 3 on my keyboard to get a right view. And I'm going to go Z so I can see the inside of the mouth here to create the throat. And we'll be working in 3 and 7, which is top view, because we have to make this sure this doesn't fold in on itself. So I'm going to go 3 again, and I'm going to go E and extrude that back. Now it's starting to go up, and I don't really want it to go up, so I'm just going to just pull it down. And I might scale it up a little bit, so I'll go S and move my cursor away. I'm going to go 7 and see what that looks like. See, it's starting to turn inside out. So I want it to bend the other way. So I'm going to get the scale tool and just pull down on the that to flatten it out. Now I'll go 3, and I'll go E again and extrude it back a bit more. And I'll go S to make it a little bit larger. I'll go 7 again, and it's looking pretty good. I'm going to bend it that way a little bit to just make sure it's going in the right direction. This is the scale tool, by the way. I'm going to go 3 again for a right view, and I'll go E again and just pull it back once more. And I'll just get my move tool, maybe pull it down a little bit to sort of create the effect of a throat. I'm just going to go Z and have a look in there, and that looks pretty good looking through the mouth. So I'll go 3 again, and I'll go Z, wireframe. So now I'm going to create a tongue coming out of this. And we're just going to rest the tongue in the palette there, so it's available when we need it. So I'm just going to select those 2 polys at the back. Remember, to select a poly, click on the black dots. To deselect it, hold the shift in and click. So yes, I just want those 2 faces. When I say poly, it's the same thing as a face. So I'm going to go 3 again to look through the right view. And I'm going to go E to extrude the tongue out, or to begin to. I'll move it up a little bit there, and I'll go S to scale it down. So it's a bit thinner. I'm going to have a look from the top view. So I'm going to go 7. And I'm just going to move it in with the red handle there to make it a bit thinner. That way. So now I'm going 3 to the right view. I'll go E again, extrude out a little bit more, and I'll move it up so that it's sitting in the palette of the mouth. We'll have a look on 7 to see what it's looking like, and that's looking pretty good. We'll go 3 again, and we'll extrude it a little bit more. And maybe 1 more, just to get it to about there. We'll pull it down like so. Alright, we'll go Z, and we'll just come around and you can, oh, now it's joined together, so I'm just going to undo. I'm going to go 7 and have a look. I'll go Z so it's wireframe so I can see. Now you see as we've gone on, it's gone a bit too thin. So I'm going to have to scale that back out again. In fact, that's given us a nice shape now anyway. We'll do 1 more extrusion. So I'll pull out once more. And we'll have a look from the side. And that looks pretty good. We'll just pull it down a little bit. Just got my move tool. We'll go Z so we're seeing the shaded view. We'll rotate around and there is our tongue, which looks okay, looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit thin. We might just scale it out just a little bit. Okay. So I might save at this point as I haven't as yet. So I'm just saving it onto my desktop. And don't forget to save. It's a good idea to save after each stage. So now we want to just put some textures on this or some materials on this because it'll be easier to work with later. So the skin has not got a material on it so far, so I'm going to go to the material tab. Oh yes, it does have one. So I'm going to call that skin. I just select in here and I can type. You have to hit return. So I've called this grey one skin. I can make it a bit of a skin tone by clicking on the diffuse. Get a bit of a skin colour happening there. This is not permanent, we can change it later. I might just, while I'm at it, decrease the specular on it, the shininess of it. A little bit too shiny for skin. Now I want to go Z again, and I want to select, I've still got my tip of my tongue selected. I want to select all of the inside of the mouth. So I'm going to go Control plus 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 until I select to the end of the mouth. I'm going to go Z just to check that I've got all of that selected, which I have. I'll go 3 again. I'll go Z again so we can see it wireframe. I'll come back over here to the materials editor, which is the sphere with the 2 grey quadrants on it. I'll go plus and new, and I'll go assign straight away. And I want to make up a mouth colour now, or mouth interior colour. So we'll make that sort of a darkish pink. Maybe something like that. We'll leave the shininess on it because inside of her mouth is fairly shiny. I'll up the hardness on it to make it even a little bit shinier. To about 100. And I'll up the intensity maybe to 1. So I'm going to call that mouth. Just typing that in just here. And I'll hit enter. And I've assigned it, but I'll do it again just in case. Now I want to apply the same texture to the tongue. I want it to be the same texture but a different name, so that it makes it easy to select later when I want to animate it. So I'm coming up to this black little triangle here on the corner. I'm going to left click and hold on that and copy the material. Now I'm going to go plus and new and click on that black triangle again and paste the material. And I'll call this tongue. And hit enter. Now I have to go control minus to get back to the tongue. I'll just deselect these ones by holding the shift and left clicking just to clean it up a little bit. So it's just the tongue, and now I'll go assign. Now as I mentioned, I will just go Z again so we can put this around, and I'll go A to deselect the tongue. But now we have this tongue texture and the mouth texture, we can come in here and select them. So in fact I didn't apply, I applied the mouth to that, so I'll just undo. When I get back to the tongue selected again, I'll make sure I'm on tongue this time and hit assign. I'll go A to deselect, and now I'm on the tongue material, and if I hit select, you'll see I can select my tongue. So it's a good way to select an object by putting a material on it. Okay, so I'm going to save at that point, and I want to put some eyes in this character now. So I'm just going to go A to deselect. I'm going to left click over here to put my 3D cursor over here. And I'm going to come down to add, and I'm going to add a UV sphere. Now I'll just undo that because it's come in join because of the clipping. So to go back to the Modifier tab, I'll switch the clipping off, and I'll do it again. So add UV sphere. I could have also gone Shift A, which is just a shortcut to add a primitive, and add UV sphere. I'll go S and scale that down. They're not joined now because we've switched the clipping off. I'm going to go 3 to go to a right view. I want to rotate this sphere so it's pointing to the front, so the circles are pointing to the front. So I'm going to go R90 and enter. So now you can see the circles are pointing to the front. I'm going to put some textures straight on these, or some material straight on these. So I'll go to the Material tab again. I'll go, well, while it's selected, I'll go plus and new and assign. And I'm going to call this my eye material. Hit enter. And I want the intensity of the specular, I want it to be very shiny. So I'm going to put that up to 1. I'll put the hardness up to 150. So you can see it's starting to look a bit shiny. I also want to put a bit of mirror on it, some reflection. I'll open that up and put the mirror to about 1.3. Actually, yeah, about 1.3. Doesn't have to be exact, but just so it has a wet sort of look. Now I'm going to copy that eye material because I want to put it on the pupil and the iris. So I'm copying that eye material. I'm going to go A, and I'm going to zoom in and go B and select across the center of the eye there to select a pupil. And I'm going to scroll up here. I'll go plus and new and assign and call that pupil, and click on the click on the black area here and paste the material onto it so it has the same shininess. Then click on the diffuse and pull down the side to make it black. So now I want to select the iris. I'm going to use Alt right click on the iris to select the loop. So I hold the Option or the Alt key in and right click on the on one of the horizontal lines, and that'll select a loop. And I'll come across and go plus, new on the materials editor, and assign, add, paste the material on. I'll come down to the diffuse and say make the eyes green. Let's try that again. Make them green. I'm just trying to make them a little bit darker as well. So let's go A and have a look at that. So that's our eye set up with the same material on all three materials. The same specular on all three materials in the same mirror. So I'm going to go L to select just the eye again because I deselected it. And I'm going to go S and scale it down and just move it into the socket. Move it forward so it's just starting to poke through. I'll go 1 so I can have a look at it from the front. And size looks reasonably good, I think. I can see through there, but I'm going to fix that. This side's looking okay. I like the size of the iris. I might move it up a little bit so it's a little bit more centered. Over a little bit. So now I just want to pull the skin of the eye around the eyeball. So I'm just going to come in and select a couple like so. Get to the angle so I can grab my widget. Pull it in so that starts to touch. I might deselect this one then and continue pulling on this one. Notice how it drags all the other faces in. Well, I could pull this one in a little bit more, I think. Now you can see I've sealed that off nicely now. It's actually improved the look of the eye as well. I might just come in and pull this eyelid a little bit forward still. And yeah, I think that looks fairly good. We could also, start to pull this around to the side a little bit more as well. I'll just pull those out to cover a little bit I exposed them. But these can come back a little bit. Likewise, probably in here could come back a little bit. Now I'll just do an ear. So the ear usually lines up pretty well with the eyes, so let's put it in here. Again, this is going to be a cartoon sort of ear. So I'm just going to go E to extrude, right click. I'll get my scale tool and I'll scale it in to make it narrower. I'm going to go 1 and do it from the front. I'm just going to go E, extrude it out a little bit. I'll go E a second time, bring it out a little bit more, but scale it up this time. I'll go E once more, scale it out, and pull it out and scale it down this time. Now, it's going a funny way, so I'm just going to rotate it back. So I'm going to go Control +++, left click in here with my 3D cursor, change my pivot point to 3D cursor, rotate that ear back. It's an awfully big ear. I might scale it down a little bit while I'm here. So it looks quite big. Let's scale it a little bit that way as well. That's looking a bit better. Now I'm going to just select these polys at the front. And I'm going to go E, right click, and then scale that down a little bit. Just going to take this back off the 3D cursor so it's medium point again. Go 1, so I'm looking at square. Move that down a little bit. And now what I want to do is go E and just move back inside it like so. Now I'm going to rotate this ear back a bit further, so I'll just select a couple of polys here. Go Control++. Till I select it all. I don't want this out of the layer, so I'll just deselect it by hitting Shift and Alt and right clicking. I'll go 7. I'll left click here, change my pivot point back again to 3D cursor, and just rotate that ear back a little bit. I still want it to be fairly cartoony. So I might just scale it in a little bit too. I think that looks better. I'll deselect that. Now I might just do some quick hair to finish this tutorial off. So I'm just going to select some polys where I want my hair to go. That's a little bit far forward. Let's just give it a little bit of a side lever. I'll select in here. Another way to select like this is to go C, which gives me a little paintbrush. The wheel will allow me to change the size. I can just paint in where I want to select. Now I want to get these ones behind the ear as well, so left click and hold the shift. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just go E for extrude. Now you can see I've got a split in it, so I'm going to undo that. That means that my clipping is off in my mirror, so I'm just switching it back on because I want the hair to be joined together. I'll go E again and right click. So I've just extruded once, and now I'll just scale it up a little bit. I'll just make sure my cursor's back on medium point, and I'll go S. And I'm just scaling it up a little bit like so. I might move it back a little bit there. Let's have a look. We're going to move it back a little bit so that hair fits in there nicely. I want to go Control plus to select that next row of polygons. I'm going to go back to my materials. I'll go plus, new, assign, call it hair. And we can give it a colour. I'll give him some brown hair. We'll go tab. So there's our face. There's still a few creases around here. We could smooth up a few areas. Let's just go tab. In fact, it's probably not too bad if I just increase the view of the subdivisions. See, it does smooth out. Maybe around the nose there, we could fix it a little bit. I don't mind these wrinkles on the eyes, and we might fix it there on the nose. So we'll come in here and we'll select these two, and we'll go smooth vertex just to smooth them. And we'll grab these on the nose and smooth vertex, and that's pretty much fixed it up. So I'll just save, and we'll be back to do the body next.